Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the Thoughts of the Young Icon channel with me, Sam. Today, I have a very special guest, a good friend of mine, Aaron. He comes all the way from Germany and he's doing some good work here in Malawi. We have a very interesting chat that covers a wide range of topics, and I believe that there's something that you can take from this episode. So tune in and tell a friend to tell a friend about this special episode of Thoughts of the Young Icon. Thank you very much. So hi, Aaron. How are you doing?
I'm all right. How are you?
All good, all good. Finally, we get our chance to record this video. We've been talking about it for a hot minute. Thank you for coming to the Thoughts of the Young Icon channel.
Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. Okay. So, firstly, maybe for our viewers, you could start by just sort of introducing yourself. If I could do a brief intro, I would say, you're my good friend from Germany who's coming to Malawi, and you're doing some good work here. But let me not preempt too much. How did you find yourself in Malawi?
It's actually quite a long story. The background of the African continent has been in my family, or in my way of raising, or in my parents' way of raising me for the past 14 years. And some love was created between me and Africa. And I always had the anticipation of moving to Africa, somewhere in Africa, sub-Saharan Africa. I would have never thought it would be Malawi.
So how did you find yourself in Malawi?
Exactly. So through our work, basically our family charity was born, and I was the same way as my sister confronted with the question of what projects we're going to work on. And one of my ideas was straight up building a school in Africa somewhere. And I was granted. So now I had the issue of finding a place where to go. And my idea was that I wanted to go to a country that I had been to before. So my first time coming to Malawi was in 2015 or 16. And I wanted to go to a country that doesn't get a lot of foreign aid, and it needed to be a country that actually speaks English. So the only two options I was remaining with was Mozambique and Malawi. But as Mozambique people speak Portuguese there primarily, it was not an option for me. So at the end, we came out, and it turned out to be Malawi.
Okay, no, that's nice. So you said the first time you came to Malawi was in 2015.
Yeah.
What brought you here the first time?
So my father and I, we are very ambitious for flying. I actually always wanted to become a pilot until I started getting my license in grade 11 or 12, and realized I don't want to become a pilot anymore. Not as a profession. I do enjoy flying.
So you know how to fly?
Yes, I have a license for a private single engine aircraft.
Oh, is it?
And even a South African certification.
Very nice, very nice.
And so basically through that, through our ambition of flying and our love to Africa, we realized that commuting through the African or throughout the African continent is a lot more convenient in a small plane, because you can access a lot more places and see a lot more places within a limited time frame. And so among one of our traveling or like African travel safaris, flying safaris, one stop was Likoma Island.
Yeah. So that's actually my village. That's where my mom was born.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
On my mom's side, everyone's from Likoma.
Oh, dope.
And I've been there one time.
Yeah.
But the time that I went, we didn't fly. We took the Ilala.
Ilala. I've never done that. I would love to do that.
It's a trip and a half. I wouldn't recommend it, but I mean, I experienced it, and it was really nice.
But it's part of the experience, and it's part of the adventure that we are looking for as Europeans in general when we go to other parts in the world to explore.
Yeah.
So, but basically, through that trip, I got to witness Blantyre Airport, which 10 years ago was even worse than today, and it was some form of a shock. It is up to this day a running gag in our family, where whenever one of my close family members is talking about Malawi, they always come up with this experience of being in this Blantyre Airport, being an international airport, but actually just this tiny worn down building. So yeah, basically I got to experience Blantyre and Lilongwe Airport, because those were the ports of entry for the tax clearance, or port of exit for us. But other than that, my Malawian experience, the first time was literally 3 days Likoma Island, which looking at it back today is a very different part of Malawi, and it doesn't speak for Malawi.
Which part of Likoma did you stay? Like, which resort did you stay?
The Pure Malawi, Pure Eyes, what's it? The expensive one, all the way in
the fancy one.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. And what was your experience like there?
Oh, that was amazing, but it was new to me because we did go to other resorts and places, but Africa was mainly our main attraction before coming to Malawi was mainly wildlife and not so much leisure or like relief or relaxing in a sense where you go to spa places and all that. So it was primarily for wildlife. So it was a very, very good but very different experience from what I had experienced in other parts of Africa before. But I did have a good time.
Which other countries in Africa have you been to?
So I've been to in sub-Saharan Africa, it's South Africa, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Eswatini, exactly, Lesotho. I've been to Tanzania, Kenya, Mozambique, Malawi, obviously, Botswana, Namibia, and then.
Which part of Botswana have you been
to? Limpopo Valley, lots of times. Okavango Delta, Maun. But only from a touristy standpoint.
Yeah, you went for the safaris, the elephants.
Exactly.
Because Botswana, I'm told there's more elephants in Botswana than there are people.
Yeah, actually, they do have an issue, especially in the Okavango Delta, where the whole system broke and went out of control, where they have come to a point where they have more than 100,000 elephants too much in their ecosystem, and they just start destroying everything.
Yeah. Now, I was in Botswana once, and we had an incident. I think I was in Kasane. We had an incident where the elephants were attacking the villages close to the resort that we were, and when we went to the safari, it's like every other animal was like an elephant. So that's pretty nice. So just to bring us back to Malawi, you're here for this second time, I guess. What's your experience now? Because you said the first time you came, you were just by Likoma Island,
and I was a tourist.
And you're a tourist, and Likoma Island is not representative of
100% not
of the country. What's your perspective now, having lived here for a little over 2 years now?
Yeah, or just short of 2 years, actually.
Short of 2 years.
It is an amazing place with good people. That's something I admire most about Malawi is the people and the culture of the people. And when you start working together with people, you actually understand why Malawi is considered the warm heart of Africa. Overall, it is not a bad life here. I would say my quality of life has increased compared to my living quality in Germany.
Yeah, we had that conversation when we were on site at your school, and I lingered upon it for a little bit, trying to figure out, what could Aaron possibly mean? Germany, the Western world, there's all these conveniences. The idea, especially from a Malawian looking at it from our perspective, we just feel as if the world out there is like 1,000,000 times better, and that the quality of life out there is 1,000,000 times better. Like, it's so much so that someone feels as though if they were a millionaire in Malawi or versus a millionaire in the Western world, their life would be better in the Western world.
I guess it depends on what standpoint you use to look at that, because of course quality of life also consists of availability of healthcare, insurance.
Have you been sick the time that you've been here?
Yeah, just recently, but never to an extent where I would have needed a healthcare institution. But with Julian, my colleague, having malaria a few weeks back and experiencing the healthcare situation was a wake-up call for every day-to-day life, in a way where I realized I really don't want to be in a position where I actually need the healthcare system here, because even if you can afford to buy better healthcare, it is still a broken system, and it just lacks quality and quantity of medication. But in many other ways of day-to-day life, where we're talking about having staff at your home, people taking care of your garden, in general, the cost of labor, if you find a way to take profit out of it for your day-to-day life, most certainly through that you will increase the quality of your day-to-day life. And with me not having to run home errands like washing my clothing or keeping my place clean, of course, that gains me an extra hour or 2 hours every day that I can use to work, to educate myself, to improve the quality of my own life.
So like I get you 100%. As you know, my wife's American, and many times we go to the US and everyone's always asking us, why do you guys opt to live in Malawi? Like, don't you think your life would be so much better here in the US? And we try to explain what you just explained. The fact that we don't have to cook, we don't have to clean, that buys us like an hour or two every day. And that automatically means we can spend more time with each other, we can spend more time with the kids, and that makes a huge difference. So at the moment, our viewership is primarily within Malawi. Could you perhaps give them a picture of what life is like in Germany? What your experience of Germany was like? Let's sort of try and navigate and paint this picture of the reality of the Western world, because I think what I've noticed is, especially having traveled myself, a lot of people have the wrong idea of what life in the Western world is like. I haven't been to Europe, but I've been to the US a number of times, and what I realized was that things are not as they seem on television. Perhaps you can just do like a small contrast between the West, where you grew up, and how things are here.
So, I mean, of course, I come from a different background than the average person, I would say, in Europe. Nevertheless, I would say my daily schedule or day-to-day life will not be a lot different from most other people. I would say in general, you have more responsibilities in terms of that are asked from not only from work, but the people around you. So you got to stick to what you express when you make agreements or.
Is this in reference to Malawian time?
Yeah, that's one thing. Of course, timing.
Malawian times are real thing.
Of course, if you go to the southern parts of Europe, time is not an essential factor, but it is the further north you go. So everything.
Why do you think it's that way?
Because it's easier to work with, and to maintain the efficiency and the quality of work that is done in Europe, you need to be on time, and everything needs to be scheduled, and everything is organized, because through that you limit people from breaking free from society and just going their own way. But in general, at the end of the day, you get up in the morning, you use public transport, which is trains and big buses, which run on a schedule, not like here where you catch a matches and then you actually sit on the bus for another hour. That of course limits time here as well, because I cannot ask you to be on time for an appointment or at work or whatever if I know your transport situation is catastrophic and I know your bus is going to leave when it's full and not actually when it's time to go. But then the same way as here, everyone gets up in the morning, they use their means of transport, either public transport or private transport, to go to work. And then at the end of the day, they go home, spend their free time either with friends or with running the household. And then that just repeats. And the major difference, I guess, is that we get our paycheck at the end of the month and not at every day or at the end of the week.
So in Germany, there are people who get paid every day?
It's not the norm.
Or is it every month?
Once a month. You get paid at the end of the month.
Okay. Because like I remember in the US, Rachel telling me that people get paid either weekly or bi-weekly.
Yeah, that's different. I don't know about the United States, but that's where the systems differ, I guess.
I thought that was interesting. Now let's get back to your project here in Malawi. Now, I've had the privilege of having a look at the school that you're building. Great work that you're doing. Tell me, what inspired that? Like, why did you opt for a school? Why that sort of project? Why that area? And what's it been like? Because I know we're coming towards the end of the project.
Yeah.
Just kind of walk me through what it's been like setting up here in Malawi. Is it conducive? Have you met some hiccups? Because one thing I know about Malawi is to get things done here is different from getting things done anywhere else.
Oh, 100%.
Certain dynamics that you kind of need to work around in order to get things done. So what's your experience been, especially with this project? Are you planning on doing more projects?
So, I mean, this project we're working on right now is the result or outcome of our first project. So last year, we basically spent our time here by building an extension for a governmental primary school in Limbi. And I was actually surprised with the work and by the work in terms of I would have expected there to be a lot more regulations and a lot more hiccups concerning the government. But it turns out if you have the right network and the right people around you, you can always find ways to migrate around problems.
Yeah.
Which is not necessarily a good thing because you're not facing the problem, but you're trying to find a solution around it, which you can try in Europe, but most of the times you will not get to the goal where you want to go.
Regulations, regulators stopping you
the other thing
at every
is,
step of the way.
Yeah. Imagine the time frames. I would have never expected to have such a good outcome within such a short time frame. Yeah. But that only works because governmental structures work different here. Because if you actually come up with a good idea and you come up with the means of taking care of it and you are in charge, it's just a matter of getting signatures and literally walking into a government office without having an appointment. Try doing that in Germany. It's not going to work out. Like if you try to get an appointment with any governmental authority, you're going to wait anywhere between 3 and 6 months. Yeah. Imagine in 6 months, we managed to build a full extension for a primary school. Similar with our project right now. We came up with the idea, I would say like in October last year, and then started to find out.
This is August right now.
August this year, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy because with how much is already on the site, like, I mean, it's pretty much done.
Well, we started construction in December. Yeah. So basically for 2 months, we were linking up with different entities, institutions to find a good partner because our first project was with the government. Yeah. We did get a result and it's a good result.
You said you did an extension for a primary school.
So basically, they had 4 classrooms, basically grade standard 1 to standard 4, and like a lousy admin and catastrophic toilets. So what we did is we built a perimeter wall, we built 4 new classrooms, we built a whole new admin, new toilets, and a feeding shelter that is run by Mary's Meals from this coming September, so that all the students get meals. And we built a perimeter fence and a playground. And I mean, I really don't enjoy self-praising, but to give you an idea or understanding of what we did is, I can quote Grace Milner. She's the director in the Ministry of Primary Education in Lilongwe, and she quoted, "You have created the paragon for Malawian governmental primary education with that project." So yeah, we getting back to the result we got, it is a good result, and it for sure created change, and it is somewhat sustainable, but it is not the idea and the ideology I had when coming up with the project. And that is something we wanted to change for our new project. So education is the beginning or the key point in our eyes where change happens, because a child is young and we can still shape that child in a way where we can build responsible adults later in life. And we saw that this could not happen together with the Malawian government, unfortunately. So that's why we were looking for a different...
What happened with you and Malawian government for your relationship to, I guess, let me not call it turn sour, but...
Well, there was change in documents of ownership, of regulations with our first project. There was just vast unreliability. Claims are made, questioning for allowances and payments. And
so you encountered people who were looking for kickbacks.
Yeah, exactly. And like corruption and all that. And it's something we stand for. We one part of our vision is not to support corruption or bribery in any way with the work that we do.
Yeah.
And so just many things came together: unreliability, unaccountability, wrong informations. I mean, yes, we are a private family equity, and we are a private charity, and our money comes from our private equity in that way. And what I just can't have is government officials complaining in my face on how I even believe that I could take the freedom of judging and stating on anything, because at the end of the day, I'm just using taxpayers' money to have a good life.
Yeah.
And that is something I can't stand with. And that was one of the most crucial moments that changed my mindset towards working with the government. And of course, we cannot fully exclude them, especially on matters of education.
Yeah.
But we can limit their impact and their influence by what we did now, basically building a private secondary school that we don't.
Sorry to cut you. What I want to understand,
Yeah.
and I guess a lot of people would want to understand, is it a case of the system itself is rotten, or was it just a couple of individuals who you met who were rotten? Because
no, I wouldn't say it's the whole government, but it is certain key people.
Yeah.
And I see a problem for that in keeping those people that actually can make change, that are in positions that are key roles, that these people are kept low.
Yeah.
And they're not being paid fair, and their work is not appreciated. And what happens to that is you fuel corruption and bribery.
Yeah. Okay. No, that makes a whole lot of sense. So for the school that you're building, you told me that you teamed up with the church.
Yeah.
What's their role going to be with this project, and why did you opt to team up with the Anglican Church?
So well, in the first place, we as a charity, we don't have the means, and we don't want to make the means available of actually running our own school.
Yeah.
Because that means employing people. It's a very long commitment. And it's not that we don't want to commit to our projects, but we are better at creating facilities and then giving it into hands that we know that will take good care of them. Yeah. And have like a collaboration with them.
So do you think that that's a model which a lot of, say, Europeans or people of goodwill would want to adopt, sort of to come in and, set something up and then leave it in the hands of the indigenous people? Or do you think the perception is, these guys, they can't run anything, let's do everything for them? Because I think one of the things that, as Malawians, we need to accept that we've been guilty of is we've sort of been given so much leeway. We've been given so many, I guess we can call them handouts or projects, where someone has come in and they've done some really good work, and the moment the donor steps out and hands it over to the Malawians, it's like the whole thing crumbles.
But that problem starts, I mean, yes, it's an existing thing, and it's something I've been warned about from different ethnicities living in Malawi and having experience with it. But I feel like in general, you've got to be very careful with it. But I also strongly believe in working together with people. And that's a major issue with many people that come to Africa. They come here and they believe they're doing something good because they come here with an idea of what they want to do. Yeah. But what is left out is actually working with the local people, make them part of the project, make them part of taking and making decisions, and teach them a responsibility for whatever you're creating and the importance of it. And I wouldn't just give such a project into any hands. But as a matter of fact, the Anglican Diocese of Southern Malawi, who we are working with, they, in very close proximity to our current project under construction, they have successfully been running a primary school for more than a decade now. Yeah. And the KfW from Germany, they apparently build structures like new classrooms and teachers' housing anywhere between 6 and 7 years ago. And whenever I pause these structures, I can see they are maintained and they look like they were built half a year ago.
Yeah.
So through that, because it's the same people that are going to be in charge of, or that are in charge of that primary school, are going to be the same people in charge of our secondary school. So I have no doubts of them maintaining a certain quality and standard that we are looking for.
Okay, no, that makes sense. I mean, anyone sort of doing any sort of work, like, I mean, even for me, let's say I'm helping out a friend or whatever, what you really just want to do is see that the help that you've rendered to someone is actually helping them,
Yeah.
and that the effects are long term. I think there's a saying that my dad used to like telling me many times when I was a kid, he'd always tell me, Sam, don't look for fish. Look for someone who can teach you how to fish. Because if you look for someone to just hand you a fish, what's going to happen is when that person is no longer there, you're going to die of starvation.
Yeah.
Whereas if you learn how to fish, it means you can keep the whole thing going. Um, Now, perhaps I'll want to tackle something that is a bit controversial. We kind of talked about it earlier in our chat when we were on site, and it's the whole perception that the Western world has towards people who come to Africa and do some good work. I think the terminology that is usually thrown around is white savior. Do you see yourself as a white savior?
I would not identify as a white savior, because I'm not here to save anyone from something that is certain. For example, death. I'm not here with that background. We are here to work with local people and help them generate something that they need and that they can maintain and support. This white savior attitude, I feel, or well, not even the attitude, but white people claim on, and most of the time it is white people that claim on other people, white people being white saviors, is because of this whole idea of coming to Africa for, let's say, 2 or 3 months. You believe you're actually creating change, but you don't. And all that is left in your mindset is those 3 months of experience you made in Africa and the 10 pictures you took with small black kids on your arm.
Yeah.
For the purpose of sharing them in social media.
Yeah.
And I would say people that are truthfully declared white saviors, they actually don't have positive impacts on the local people. And they white saviors actually do not do anything linked to the term of
being a savior.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's in my eyes.
Okay. Well,
but at the end of the day, whatever you do to do good for other people, if your need for it to, or if you do it to share it online, you're still doing a good thing. Is it the right thing to do? That at the end of the day, everyone needs to know for their own, or decide for their own.
Yeah, because I think when we had this chat, I sort of made a statement which I think maybe would sound controversial to a lot of people. And my statement is, I don't think we care about this whole white savior thing. It's I see it online so many times. You see, let's say someone of European descent, they come to Africa and they get their hair braided at a salon here, and they do a braid, and all of a sudden they're ridiculed online, or they do, or whatever
but that's the problem with white privilege, I would say.
Yeah.
It's where we're also talking about cultural appropriation, I guess.
Yeah.
Where in the most cases, people complaining about someone culturally appropriating someone else, it is a white person calling on a white person, and most of the times the person calling out has never been to places. And actually, if I can drop this in here, I had an uncool situation 2 days ago where I quit connections to a Malawian girl. I mean, she's Indian, well, Pakistani, Mozambican origin.
Yeah.
And she always grew up in this secluded Indian, Pakistani, Muslim world where she was always kept away from everything. And honestly, when I first met her, I thought she was just straight up dumb. But it took me a lot of time to understand she was not dumb. She was just uneducated, and she was kept away from what was going on in those world. And the issue, or why I'm bringing up this point, is because she was claiming I was disrespectful towards her, breaking up the relay, whatever you want to call it, the thing going on between the both of us, um, of me coming to her country and being disrespectful towards her. And that's something that's been going on in my mind.
Yeah.
Because yes, she is born here.
In what way did she claim that you were disrespectful? Like, I'm trying to.
Oh, because I decided that for my mental health, what was going on between the both of us, especially with the different religious backgrounds and all that, it was just taking a hit on me, and it's something I can't cope with right now. And it's something I tried to end on like mutual common grounds in like a fair matter. And I mean, she claimed I came to her country, being disrespectful towards her. But at the end of the day, the reasons are clear why she can't embrace Malawi and can't embrace with Malawian culture, because she's kept away from it. Yeah. But it made me think, how am I disrespectful towards you and your country because I'm embracing this country more than you do? Yeah. The reason is vastly different, and it is given, and there's nothing you can change about it. Yeah. But just because I embrace the Malawian culture and I might buy chitenja stuff for my girlfriend to wear or whatever, doesn't mean I'm appropriating this culture. And even if I would decide to get braids, people here, they would appreciate it. Yeah. But as soon as I step into Europe, people are going to complain about it.
Yeah. I find that absurd. Like you're saying, like, I love the fact that you've come to Malawi, you've embraced the culture.
And I try to every day, and part of it is learning simple phrases. Yeah, like being part of daily life.
Your chichewa is so impressive, and to me, like that's amazing. I'd love that. The same way, when I go to the US, I'll go to a basketball game or whatever, because that's what they do there. Yeah. It's funny how if it's someone who is perceived to be of less privilege or in a less, I don't know, like maybe this side of the world, I believe the West kind of just looks at us as, a bit backward. So if someone like you does something that they think is backward, they think you're doing something that's, the term is what? Cultural appropriation. And that's wrong. I personally think that's wrong. Like, come to Malawi, embrace our culture, wear those pants. The person who's selling those chitenje outfits that you're buying, you're supporting their business. Exactly. You're actually helping out the economy. And that's brilliant. Like, I love that that's the approach that you've taken. And I hope that, for anyone else who's watching who decides that, they're going to come to Malawi, come to Malawi. If you want to take selfies with us, take selfies. Man, my wife is a white American lady, and, we go to weddings, we go to events, and people want to take pictures with her. And like, I know in the West, you might look at it like, oh, what's this white girl doing? But you need to understand, like, this is exciting for those people. Yeah. Like, certain people have just never had the privilege of being so close to a foreigner and like interacting with them on a human basis and taking a picture to immortalize that memory. I mean, that's brilliant. So I feel like this whole white savior thing, it's a Western thing. You guys need to shut up. If someone wants to come here and do some good work, come and do that good work, man. Like, we're not going to stop you. Anyways, that was a bit...
Especially even if you come here and people would consider you a white savior, you've done more than most other people, because you left your comfort zone of coming here or any other developing country. And no matter what the driving reason is, you have done more than others.
100%. And if you notice, a lot of these trolls on the internet, these are just keyboard warriors, man. These are guys who they're doing nothing themselves. And if someone comes here, even just by arriving in Malawi, in my opinion, I feel like they've done a ton of work. I mean, if you come for the tourism, if you support our restaurants, if you, go to our hotels, you're doing some great work. I guess let's sort of leave that and go to the next thing. You had mentioned about a couple of relationships or whatever.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, like, what's been your experience in light of culture with regards to relationships, and I think we had also touched on in our last conversation on how um, religion, the element of religion, you told me, and I thought that was interesting, and I'd want for you to share with our viewers on how you were raised in an environment where you were sort of given the liberty to sort of learn everything and then decide from there. Yeah, I think let's start with the issue of the relationships. How do you view relationships? Because I'll tell you, like here as a Malawian man, like my parents, up until when I was growing up, they told me don't date any girl, don't talk to girls. In fact, there was a point where they used to have the boys playing on one side, the girls playing on one side. We got a bit older, they let us interact, but they told us, hey, don't interact, don't date. And then when I was getting to like 24, 20, my parents look at me like, hey,
where's your wife?
where is our in-law?
Yeah.
And I thought that was crazy. Is that something that you guys sort of go through as well?
Actually, funny you say you describe it this way, because I mean, I don't even want to judge on it if it's good or bad.
Yeah, because I don't think there's right and wrong.
Exactly,
with matters of love.
All in all, I would say Europe is a lot more modern and liberal. Also,
that
cultural.
That term modern.
Yeah.
Like I think that term modern is
all right,
ambiguous.
Different.
Yeah,
I wouldn't even say modern or advanced. That's why I was.
Yeah.
That's why I said I wouldn't even judge if it's something good or bad.
Yeah.
But it is different.
Yeah.
Put it in those words.
Yeah.
More liberal.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, we had mixed classes. We even had sports class together all the way till I finished high school, and it was never an issue for even when I was like 14, 15, having those first experiences.
Yes.
It was never an issue for my parents to even at that young age to have a girl sleep over at my place. But then I had a similar conversation with my mom where she said, yo, until we were like 20, 21, there was no guys. Yeah. And hell no, no guy could have ever slept at our parents' place.
Yes.
So that's a change.
That's where Malawi is right now.
Exactly. Yeah. But that's a change which happened in the last 30, 35, 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
So of course, through that, and
did your parents tell you how they met?
Oh yeah, my parents met on a congress, but with them it was like literally they met each other, and then as far as I understood, they didn't see each other for 3 months, and then they went on a trip, and then they wanted to get married. So with them, it was really quick.
Oh, that's crazy. And they're still together. That's so impressive.
And they never had a real wedding. They just went into the public office in New York, and they just married in jeans, and that was it. No party, nothing.
Is that a thing now?
No, not necessarily. But my parents are not. They're just not. I wouldn't say not outgoing people, but they don't need to have parties and show off and all that.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then of course with this
and with you, what do you envision your wedding like? Because
I feel like I'm gonna have like a close family.
Not gonna have
marriage,
a big Malawian
and then
wedding.
have like not a Malawian but an African wedding, maybe giant, like with a lot of guests and all that.
Yeah, we're gonna throw money at you.
Oh yeah.
If you're gonna invite me, I need you to have a section where we get to throw money at you.
Yeah.
That's important to me.
All right, we can arrange for that. Yeah, and then of course with being raised in that environment and with that attitude coming already from my parents, and then of course all the friends around me, I would say I'm a lot more open.
Yeah. Are you as open enough to say marry a Malawian girl? Is that something you'd consider, or is the culture shock a little too heavy for you?
So I mean, with pure 100% honesty, I could probably never see myself on a long-term basis together with someone from the Malawian population that probably belongs to the 90 lower percent.
Yeah.
Less privileged people. But the reasons for that is cultural backgrounds, language barriers, education, because what I'm looking for in a wife or in a woman is someone that actually trains my mind and actually like keeps me on a roll. And
No, like just sort of to back up your answer, like I mean, I'm a deeply religious guy,
Yeah.
as you may know. Like one of the things that we learn in the Bible is that when God was creating Eve for Adam, what God specifically said was, "I'm creating someone to help you, like a
Yeah.
helpmeet." Now, He said there was none found who could help you because God first looked at all the animals and he realized, look, Adam cannot marry a giraffe,
Yeah.
he cannot marry a hippo. So I get what you're saying. When it comes to relationships, there is sort of, you need to know what you're looking for
Yeah.
and you need to find what works for you. So, like you were saying, things like culture, language barrier, education, they come into play. I mean,
100%.
I'm married to Rachel, and most of my friends, I don't even know anyone else who's married to like a Caucasian American.
Yeah.
I think it's those sort of things that come into play. And what I found when I was getting in a relationship with Rachel, how when we started dating and everything, it's because the way she thought, the way we engaged, and then the plans that I had, it sort of meshed.
Yeah.
And perhaps, yeah. What I will tell you though, having been brought up in the 10% that you said the 90, because
Yeah.
I need to,
Rough estimate.
yeah, I need to acknowledge that I'm a bit fortunate in that I was probably in that 10%. You could probably find a nice girl who will sweep
100%,
you
but
off your
it's
feet.
character and I mean, I would also be lying or I would not be telling the truth.
Wait, would you marry a German girl?
Maybe. No, the thing is, I do believe in true love and the true wife. And
What's your definition of
exactly,
true
if
love?
I decide to marry a woman,
Yes.
there's no divorce, there's no breakup. This is forever.
Yeah.
I strongly believe in that.
Yeah.
But I want a self-sustainable woman. I want someone that can maintain their life, that is not laying on my pocket the whole time.
Yeah.
Even though I would love to come to a point in my life where I could offer my wife to quit working, which doesn't mean I tell you to stop working and you're going to take care of the kids. No.
Yeah.
What I say is I would like to come to a point in my life where I can offer my wife to stop working.
Yeah.
But 100%, if I find a wife that makes enough money, I can in a way where I can maintain my lifestyle.
Yeah.
You go work, I'll take care of the kids. I don't have an issue with that.
Whoa, you can be Mr. Mom?
Why not? I don't, these gender roles and all that, it is something I wouldn't adapt to myself and I wouldn't adapt it to my wife or to my family.
Yeah.
And
so you marry a woman and you do the cooking and cleaning, you're okay with that?
Yeah, I enjoy cooking. I don't enjoy so much cleaning, but then looking into a future where I live in Africa, cleaning might not be my job, but still taking care of the kids and cooking and all that, why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
It's crazy because I have, like a lot of my peers, like a lot of us are sort of in our early 30s having our first kids and all that. And like a lot of my peers kind of look at me funny because I change my son's diaper, like I feed my son, and like my wife, she can leave the country for say a week and whatnot, and I'll just hang around here with the kiddo and everything's fine. And it's one of those things that you're saying. I think to a certain extent, a lot of people are sort of stuck in the traditional gender roles. And yes, I feel like there's a role that they play in the sense that they provide you a good amount of a baseline from which you can sort of have your expectations from your partner.
Yeah.
But what I've realized is, yeah, after that baseline, it's also important to sort of interact. Like you're saying, if she starts making more money or she makes so much money, she patents something, you don't have to work anymore. It's a conversation that you can have. And I feel like people need to be more open-minded, more fluid, and they need to understand that it's not set in stone. Relationships should not be set on some mechanical foundations.
Yeah.
No, have a basis.
There still needs to be freedom and flexibility, and that doesn't mean you're hooking up with someone else, but it means that in your day-to-day life and the way you interact with each other, there is room for change. Because even if you ask people that have been married for 50, 60 years, no one of them is going to tell you it's easy, and no one of them is going to tell you there is never any change. It is just how we are. Habits do change, behaviors do change, but having a healthy a healthy relationship means adapting to that and working on that together. The same way as you cannot have a healthy relationship if one always needs to be right. You need to be able to step back every now and then to give a privilege or to allow your partner a certain freedom. Otherwise, it's not going to work out. And you got to communicate, of course.
Oh man, I feel like you just spoke to my soul, man, because I just realized, Sam, you're always right. I need to stop being right. All right, my brother. So the other thing that I'd sort of mentioned in passing was the whole idea of your upbringing with regards to religion. Like I'll tell you, like here in Malawi, we're deeply religious in the sense that I think the two main religions are Christianity and Islam, and it's almost it's almost something that's your parents can write on your birth certificate to say, Sam Tunde on your birth certificate. They'll put male and then Christian. It's something that's set in stone. Can you sort of give us what it's like in Germany, like from your experience?
And so from my liberal experience, or being raised in a liberal environment, as it's like for the majority of kids these days, even though you're may be born into a religious family, which it was not like for me, but even with religious families, you will see that there is not this pressure of putting your child into any religion or the same one you were brought up with. With my family, my mom, she's a Catholic. My father was never anything. My mom exited the church just recently because she was not participating and not really believing it, because there is change in church and all that in Europe as well, of course. But so my parents always made sure that we attend religion class. They brought us to so many different places in the world with different cultures, different religions. For, I would say, the first 12, 13, 14 years of my life, my mom would take my sister and me to church on Christmas Eve, so that we are aware of actually what we are celebrating. And that was never, the idea behind that was never to push us in one direction or make us adapt one religion, because we were taught about all religions, may it be Islam, may it be Judaism, Christianity, Hinduism, Buddhism. We were taught about all that, and we were asked to make up a mind for ourselves. And it was never hindered that we could choose any religion. It was offered to us, but both my sister and I decided against it. But through that, I would say nowadays my sister and me, we have a good education, good understanding of religion, what the backgrounds are, what the brief stories are, and why people actually do believe. But my sister and I would never try to intervene with someone or the religion. We tolerated, we accepted, because you are you. And the same way I ask you to accept that I'm an atheist and that I may believe in science instead of a God or anything else. And that's, I believe, the right way of living together. Tolerance. Understand why other people are different, accept it, understand it, and they will accept and understand you the same way. And that's how we can, or that's how life together should be.
No, I think that's interesting. And I think I kind of alluded to it last time that we had the chat. I am of the view that it's important to give someone comprehensive knowledge. I think I'd mentioned in our chat that the moment, no person has an original thought. Now, this comes into play, especially with regards to religion. I think there's that push for, don't put your religion on me. And I understand the people who make statements like that. But what they don't understand is what they're saying is, don't give me information which could end up valuable to me. It's kind of saying, don't tell me about how to prevent malaria. I don't want to hear it. I don't believe in malaria. Of course, that's sort of like an extreme example. But basically, my counter argument is, I think it's important for people to openly discuss their religions. I think it's important for people to be comfortable with those quote unquote uncomfortable conversations. Because, if I, being a Christian, I go and speak with a Muslim, for argument's sake, or a Hindu, and I'm expressing my beliefs to them, I don't know, the world has sort of made that a very uncomfortable conversation.
Oh, 100%.
And I don't think it should be that
way. No,
way.
It shouldn't. It should be as open as talking about anything else. But I guess the problem that comes with that is that as soon as you start talking about religion, even though you may not, even if you just want to talk about it and you don't want to share your belief or make someone else believe in what you believe, your opponent being a different religion, there will be this small prejudice or stereotype. Because you start talking about your religion, I will need to talk about my religion because I need to protect my beliefs and values. And that's something, I guess, that just built up during the history of mankind. And religion always being a topic of or a reason for war and violence.
Yeah, no, I think it's interesting. Yeah, it really is like a contentious topic. It's one which I think, look, I'm 100% Christian. But if you came to me and you gave me some compelling facts and you told me, Sam, I don't think God is real, and you told me XYZ, this is why God is not real. He died at this point, if he ever existed. And then, I'm a rational human being. I think I could get to a point where I'd be like, okay, you know what? Aaron's made some really good points. Let me look into it. And I look into it and I see, maybe God is dead. But I've come to the conclusion, and again, a rational human being, I've come to the conclusion, having been given evidence that God exists, and I've rationally examined the information that I've received, the experiences that I've had, and I've concluded that God is there. But I think what I'm trying to emphasize is the moment we don't allow people to give each other evidence of, i.e., sharing their religion, then
we take freedom from them.
Yes, no one has freedom. If you can't claim that you're freely an atheist or you're freely a Christian or you're freely a Muslim if you've never had opposition to what you believe, you can't claim that. That's the point that I'm making.
And that's like always eating your chips with ketchup because you never had mayo.
Yes.
And you don't even want to try. And you claim ketchup being the best thing in the world.
I have a funny example of that. My dad, since I was a little boy, he convinced me jumbo was the best fish in the world. I kid you not. I was gonna go to war with anyone who said
anything catfish is better than jumbo.
No ways. Jumbo's the best fish. And I had my wife's family over when we had our wedding, and I'm telling them, no, jumbo is the best fish. Oh, you guys need to have jumbo. And they took a bite, and it was underwhelming to them. And I was bewildered. I'm looking at them like, how are you guys not seeing, or how are you guys not enjoying the best fish in the world?
See, and that's creating a mindset on limited information.
Yes, exactly.
So that is what you do in the Western world all the time. Look at America. That's exactly what their political system does. They praise ours the best. And that's how Trump became president in the first place. Make America first.
Make America great.
Great, and put America first.
I know that they're very nationalistic. Okay, so to conclude our chat, what are your plans going forward? I think you had mentioned that the project here, is sort of running its course. Is there more work that you're going to do here in Malawi?
So unfortunately, my days as in terms of living and working in Malawi are counted. Within the next 4 weeks, I'll be moving to Dar es Salaam
to
start new ventures. I want to start introducing a youth center, but with like an educational background, just to keep at least a few kids away from the streets and try to build a brighter and better and more educated future for them.
What's this youth center going to comprise of?
So basically, a feeding scheme, of course, but then have social workers that work on matters of like abused, rape, young maternities. Then I would like to have a workshop to train on woodworking, on like daily use skills. Together with a few other people, I would like to offer courses on IT, dancing, cultural, music. Give support with homework. And then lots of sports, because sports is how you approach kids and how you can actually build something that they want to live for or work for or create change for. Actually, one of my biggest ideas that has been roaming around in my head from the first time that I thought about this project is to have a skate park. I like a little half pipe. I don't even skate, but I think it would be something so cool. Yeah, and then the other thing I want to start next year is a microcredit scheme where we basically target the least privileged in the surrounding areas of Dar es Salaam and try to assist them to build up their own equity and ventures by starting a chicken farm or a motor taxi and giving them an affordable loan that they can actually pay back. As you're talking about interest rates of maybe anywhere between 2 and 5% instead of the 30 or 40% you get from banks. But our work with our charity here, fortunately, doesn't stop with me leaving. Of course, we have projects that we need to maintain. We do have scholarship students here that I'm quite close with. So I will not break that.
What scholarships are you doing?
So we have 2 kids. And one is in primary, the other one is in secondary education. And of course, there will always be a link between them and me, but then also between my current colleague and the guy we're bringing in. Because their idea for next year is the introduction of a trade school. Have 6 months quality classes supported with staff or volunteers from Germany, and having local teachers work together to train 10 students per half year, basically, in skilled bricklaying and carpentry work, and then have them get jobs in companies that we already know or contractors that we have worked with in the past 2 years, in order to tackle this problem where people in this country actually manage to succeed in school and they do learn a trade, a skill, go to university, but now we also want to supply them with a job. Because one major issue here is that people do get education, but then there's no jobs.
That's true. Okay, no, that's some good work. Thank you very much for joining me on today's episode of Thoughts of the Young Icon. We appreciate the wisdom that you've had to share, your experiences, and your perspectives. Because, like we said, the moment that a person has a linear perspective, they're not as effective in the world. They need to sort of have a very well-rounded perspective of the world. And I think you shared some very good ideas with our audience, and we love the work that you're doing. Me personally, I'm kind of bummed that you're leaving. I wish you could stick around and continue your good work.
That's something I said to Julian. What a mess. We met the first time I came here, project related, in July 2022. And then we had that one basketball session when we actually moved here in November. And ever since, we kind of maneuvered around each other.
Because I was in the US for an extended period of time last year.
But actually, that's what I told Julian a few days ago. It's actually unfortunate I'm leaving and now getting so close with you.
But Tanzania is pretty close, so I could always
I will
stop
be here
by
on a regular basis.
Okay.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for
good talk.
So if you've watched this far, I'd like you to hit that like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to tell a friend about Thoughts of the Young Icon. Thank you very much.